Hey guys, it's Josh. I just want to take a quick second to do some house cleaning stuff. If you're enjoying the podcast, please take a second to like, subscribe, or follow. We're on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor. I also have a voice message button, so if you're enjoying it, tell me what you like. If you don't like something, tell me what I need to improve on. If you want to hear a guest or a certain topic, let me know, because I take it all into consideration. Try not to be negative. Don't be too harsh, because obviously it's not perfect, but anything legit or anything that will help improve, please send my way. Then we also have a donation button, $1, 50 cents, anything here and there will help me get the video going more consistently, getting better guests, and then add stuff as we go along. So thank you so much for tuning in. Enjoy the episode, and I'll see you later.
Welcome to the Just Josh Podcast.
Who the fuck is this guy? Hey, who the fuck are you? Huh? Who the fuck are you?
This whole thing's a little weird.
Never you fear, laddie buck.
Welcome into the podcast. Today we got Jordan Goodman in studio. What's up, man?
Yeah, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Just Josh. Oh my God. I'm looking at
So many different things.
so many different things in here.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, I appreciate you coming in. It's always fun having people in studio. Phone calls are cool, but I feel like you get more of the experience when you're in here.
No, this is the studio.
Yeah, thanks.
Holy shit. I'm looking at a still of my band's music video on a flat screen and some $1,200 311 posters, a Mapex drum kit.
Yeah. Got my Marshall stack there too.
You got a printer? Does that print color?
Does everything, yeah.
You got it all, man.
Yeah, right.
Hell yeah. Thanks for having me, dude.
Yeah, no, thank you for coming in. I've known you for literally probably most of our whole lives.
Yeah.
Now, we haven't always hung out all the time just because of life and different things, just different crowds, but I'm pretty sure we probably met in elementary school at Glendon.
Mhm.
Now, did you go to the JCC?
Fuck yeah.
So that's where I met you. We were at the JCC with me, you, and Nadja, and Beatrice. And
Yeah.
everyone.
Oh my God.
I was probably the only Asian kid that ever went to JCC.
Are you Jewish?
My dad's Jewish.
Huh.
So I was raised Kutcher. So I was raised Catholic by my mom.
Okay.
But we have a really rich Jewish history
Hmm.
in our family, which is really cool. And I'm always so proud of that. And my cousins and everyone on my dad's family are so smart and just really good people. So
Cool, man. Well,
I always
Shabbat
love,
Shalom, as they say.
Thank you.
I'm actually sharing a program this Monday night in D.C. with Jewish leaders across North America.
Okay, yeah, cool.
It's kind of crazy. I've and just got interviewed by a Jewish magazine a couple days ago.
And this is all for your Beatwell stuff, correct?
Yeah, and it's crazy because I mean I grew up like a lot of people where Judaism was more of this cultural thing and not necessarily a function of religion.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really find much, and still don't find much identity in Judaism, but I do identify as Jewish. But yeah, I share these drum circle programs for all kinds of different outcomes. I'm a licensed psychotherapist, and when I got my master's in psychotherapy, I pretty much just spent that whole journey finding ways to be a musician, to be a drummer, researching how does rhythm affect us biologically, socially, emotionally, physically, and have shared the power of rhythm in all kinds of ways. And the Jewish community have been really supportive of me for years now. I mean, the past few years, I lead Jewish services like with rabbis.
That's cool.
Fucking wild, man. But
That's
like I
really
said,
cool.
rhythm is universal. So whether it's Jewish people or any other type of human being, it works.
Yeah. So just to elaborate a little bit for people that don't know, I wanted to have you in here because we have a lot in common. We both love wrestling. We both love music. We play music. So you're in a band. You just said you're a psychotherapist, but you started Beatwell to kind of use music and use those drum circles in therapy, I guess, is right?
Yeah, in all kinds of ways. I mean, the way I like to describe it is that what I do with Beatwell has nothing to do with drumming or nothing to do with music. The drum
Right.
is just the tool for these greater outcomes. So Monday night, for instance, I will be sharing with professionals, with leaders. And with them, we will be focused on how to cultivate self-awareness, and then ultimately how to cultivate group awareness, because these are people that, work with colleagues and employees, but also serve their communities. And we'll be talking about and having rhythmic experiences to help leadership development, with creative collaboration. We will do mindfulness meditation. I did an actual group therapy this morning with adults at an adult day program. Many have schizophrenia, many have addiction, all kinds of issues where these people are very deserving, but they have just a lot of difficulties in life. They can't live on their own. And this morning, for instance, we talked about embodying the music. So I was sharing that oftentimes we get stuck in our heads. We get stuck in our thoughts, or sometimes we get stuck in our feelings. So the times when I'm feeling very anxious because I'm having anxious thoughts, or the emotional experience of anxiety, the first thing I do is I bring my attention to the body. So maybe that's me just doing jumping jacks. Maybe that's me just rubbing my hands together or playing an instrument. And in that way, we can kind of cut off that cycle of thought or of emotion that sometimes, if you're feeling anxiety, you could be stuck in it for hours. It's kind of like getting on YouTube, and then 45 minutes later, you're like, how did I get here, and why am I still here? You know what I mean?
I do that all the time. I got caught watching these RV videos of this couple that goes around the country, and like they fix up their RV and give RVing tips. And I'm like, I don't even have an RV. Why am I watching this?
Right.
But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Right. So, and it just goes to show us how often our behaviors or our experience, we're not in control of. It's automatic. It's unconscious. So a lot of the work I do through drumming with other people is to bring ourselves to a present moment awareness. That's and cool. Really get in touch with who we are, get in touch with the experience of being with other people in deeper ways.
I like what you're doing because I feel like a lot of the jobs I've worked at, if we had something like this, it would almost, I think people underestimate company morale and employees and how much the culture really affects your performance. And then it's easy to sit there and point fingers, but it's like, there are a lot of jobs where we could have used something like this to just get us going for the week, even if it was once a week on Mondays or whatever. I feel like it's so beneficial. And again, it comes from a place of, trying to help people and trying to better people. And that's something that I respect, and I'd love if I ever had the money. People are like, well, if you're rich, you would do this. And I'm like, don't tell me what I would do, first of all. And second of all, if I had the money, a lot of it, I would say a good 60-70% of it would probably go to charity or different things that I'm really passionate about, trying to make a difference in those different areas, Yeah,
man.
Unfortunately, I don't, but, if that day ever comes, that would be great.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm oriented to, for whatever reason, I want to serve. I want to connect. My time here is relatively limited, and when it's time and to die, hopefully I'm afforded the ability to reflect on my life, and I want to feel good about how I spent it, and I want to feel like I left this world and the people that I've known better than I found them.
Yeah, and I've started to have that kind of same realization and same thought process as the older I get. I almost was kind of stuck in the same place, throughout my mid-20s to my, into my early 30s, but over the last 3 to 4 years, I've really tried to make it a point to see the big picture and not try and stress so much about certain things, but then make sure I'm doing what I need to do short term in order to be successful. And when I mean successful, I don't mean money wise. I mean like in doing what I love,
right.
And as far as music goes and stuff like that. And I'm very lucky that, and I probably said this almost on every podcast, and I want to have my dad in here. He is such a big influence on me musically. And why, and not only just a big influence because he taught me music and he really supported me pursuing music, but that he does music himself. And so he's always allowed me to be different or be myself. He never forced me to go get a 9 to 5. Now, they've always harped I need to go to college and stuff like that, but I've also always wanted to go to college. You know, it wasn't something I was like, oh, I got to go to college. Like, even now, I'm still pursuing degrees and trying to better myself, because I feel like you can never stop learning, and especially if someone's going to trust me to help them with their career or what they're trying to do as far as business, I want to make sure that I have the hardware to back it up as well. You know, and then I've been very lucky that a lot of bands have been very kind to me over the last couple of years, and being able to get on the tour side of things and see that aspect of it has made me even a better manager than I ever would have been, because I know what they go through. I know how hard it is, because I've seen it and I've felt it firsthand. I've been frustrated on the road. I've gotten to the hotel at 3 a.m. and been like, man, I want to sleep, but I'm in zombie mode right now. I'm probably not going to sleep for another 2 hours. And then we're up at 9 a.m. again. So,
yeah, you have the empathy for the people you're serving in these bands.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's important. So that's why I really respect what you do, and I love that. And I love having you here again. We have so much in common, which is weird. I'm surprised we haven't hung out more throughout our lives in general.
I don't remember you and I ever hanging out like one-on-one or making plans together.
I think again, I don't think it was anything. I think it's just we didn't know each other. We ran in different circles.
So I remember, you know, what I remember.
I think I remember more than you might.
I think so too.
You know,
what I do remember very clearly about you, though, this was now high school, and we went to a Linkin Park show in Northern Virginia.
Was it at Jiffy?
No, it was at George Mason University.
Oh, okay,
when it was
yeah,
the Patriots Center.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it was you. I think you'll remember the story. I don't think you did not have a ticket. So it wasn't in the plan for you to come with us. And you hopped in the car. So I don't think I knew you were coming until that day.
Really? I don't remember this part.
But
I do remember Linkin Park.
It was some Asian dude. It had to have been you. So
it had to have been you.
You just fucking walked into the building. You just slipped into the building. I had never seen someone just so confident to drive an hour and a half to a sold-out show with no ticket, and you just slipped right in there.
So now that you say that, that is something I would have done in high school, and I'm almost embarrassed about that because I would never do that now.
Oh, I fucking loved it, man. It was so impressive. Not only that,
I definitely would have done that back then, though.
Not only did you sneak into the venue, you snuck onto the floor.
See,
so you had like 2 points of
gatekeeping
that you had to get through.
I've definitely done that before a few times.
So I remember I was like, fuck, man, like this guy, he's a...
Here's the sad thing. I could never get away with that now because I'm not that confident. Like
no?
I was so much more confident. It's not even confident. I'm confident, but like
did you just not give a fuck?
Yeah, I probably just didn't give a fuck when I was younger, to be honest.
Right.
I mean, that was half of it.
I was so impressed by that.
I was very I just think I have more empathy now as I get older and more awareness and trying to be a good person and live how I can and treat others how I want.
I get that. You weren't hurting anybody doing
that. No. I'm sure Linkin Park is not hurting. I'm sure they're doing just fine. And man, what a tragedy too. I got my Linkin Park over here.
I'm looking at it right now.
Chester. Oh man.
Yeah, you know what? I remember exactly where I was, and I was listening to the radio, and they said that Chester had died. And I mean, Linkin Park's a band that I really haven't thought of in 15 years.
Yeah.
But I was really hurt to hear that, and it really made me reflect on what that band had meant to me at one point, and the ways, and it really helped me appreciate the influence they had, even on younger generations now, not only in rock music but hip hop as well.
Yeah. And that's why I think it's so important. And because to be honest, when you're coming in here, we were going to have kind of like a free flow to a degree, in the sense of, you know, just stuff we're interested in because we both have the same interests. I did not know that you were a licensed psychotherapist, and I already have another guest coming in specifically to talk on that topic about dealing with traumatic stresses or trauma or stresses on the road being a musician. And Edie Nathan's going to come in, and she just spoke at NAMM. And it's just crazy because I think it's so important. And after being on that side, realizing how difficult tour is and the stresses, I feel like it's such an important topic and things that maybe bands don't always look at, because some of them might think that it's not an issue because they're like, oh, that's just part of the road. You know, being stressed out and having to go through those things is just part of the road. But honestly, does it have to be? You know, there's probably, and yes, even I know it's going to be part of the road. You have to deal with stuff, but I'm saying how you react to it and how you handle it mentally, I don't think is explored enough. So I think that's really cool. And I really feel like maybe that might be something that starts to become a very viable business or career, in the sense of, I think it's important, you know, when I see a lot of musicians that are all about their fitness, because on the road you have to be a certain amount of fit, especially when you're touring and there's not always the best food options.
But when you say fitness, we mostly think about physical fitness.
Right.
But for me, I'd say, what about mental, emotional
And
fitness?
that's what I was getting to. They spend so much time, and then all you think about is that one aspect. Now you need to start thinking about the mental aspect, and that's just, if not more important than your physical fitness.
And
So
the culture's
exactly.
moving that way.
It is. I've seen a lot more.
You
I
look
see
at
people doing yoga and other things to meditate on the road and relax. And
Right. So
do
you
different
think
things.
yoga, even 20 years ago, it was considered hippy-dippy to the mainstream culture.
Yeah.
And now, you know, most neighborhoods have at least one yoga studio.
Mm-hmm.
If you work for some sort of larger company existing somewhere within the 21st century, yoga may be something that's offered, especially at a more progressive company.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing's happening with mindfulness meditation.
Yeah.
You know, yoga, a huge part of what that practice is a type of mindfulness meditation. I just think in this culture, we identify more with the physical self, which is why most of us have really just thought of yoga
Because
as
of social media and stuff like that. Just that.
Right.
that almost
I think that's part of it.
subconscious feeling like you have to, you know,
Yeah.
do present yourself a certain way.
Yeah. And because of that, I think many people treat yoga primarily as a physical exercise, and maybe at first don't see the emotional, the mental, the spiritual benefits of it.
Mm-hmm. I want to have my friend Katie Sampaio in here. I went to college with her, and she does a lot of fitness and meditation. She's these amazing trips to like Bali and different areas.
Yeah, we
but it's
once
like
connected and never ended up meeting in person, and then it seemed like she just took a couple years traveling the world.
Yeah, she's just been traveling, and I love that, because I used to do a lot of that too. Now she gets to travel a lot more worldly than I do. I travel more to like beach destinations or travel a lot within the country, but I just haven't had the time to go. And now that I'm kind of being able to have a home base, I think I'm going to do one of those things. And she's great too, just nutrition and everything like that. I actually, as I get older too, I don't drink that much. I don't smoke as much. Just even not drinking sodas and stuff, my fridge over there, it has all like LaCroix and stuff like that. And that's pretty much all I drink now. It's nice. It's just, it's not the same. And getting off topic a little bit, but we're talking about yoga, and the reason I got into it was my back. I hurt my back snowboarding. And so my L5 sticks out, and it's always been hitting my nerve. And it was to the point where I was getting cortisone shots because it was hitting my nerve to where my leg was pretty much numb. You know, like I could feel it. It wasn't like I lost total feeling, but it was numb, and it was like not a stinging. It was painful, but it wasn't like god awful, you know, but it was to the point where I had to get some. Now it's been okay recently, but yoga's really helped because there's like a lot of strengthening things, especially with the core, that help out with and stuff that you don't even think. You're doing these motions that you're like, this isn't helping. How am I getting stronger? But because you don't work that muscle that often, especially where my back is, it really makes a huge difference.
So for those listening that may be more familiar with yoga, but maybe not mindfulness meditation, it's no different. Because I remember being maybe 20 years old and researching meditation and sitting and trying to do these exercises, like just breathing in and noticing the air coming through my nostril, breathing out, noticing it going out. And I remember having these thoughts of like, man, what the fuck am I doing? Like, this is dumb. Like, this isn't doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
But yet I also, with yoga as well, you trust in the thousands of years of wisdom. There's reasons why these practices endure. And then over time, like any practice, you just notice that it's not even that you're just always actively doing it. It's more, it just becomes a part of your natural process.
Yeah.
Right, of just becoming more mindful throughout the day. If, you know, maybe practicing and then 9 months later, something, maybe a car cuts you off. And in the past, you may have like reacted with intense anger and laying on the horn, whatever else. But maybe instead of doing that, the initial reaction, the unconscious reaction, is to take a deep breath and to
Right.
calm down. You know, so no different than yoga in that sense.
I've definitely noticed, especially recently, I was driving the other day and I realized I was looking around, I'm like, and it just hit me like, I never take the time to actually just look around and just soak in my surroundings.
Isn't that
I'm
crazy?
I'm always so inward. So even when I'm driving, I'm physically driving and I'm looking, but I'm thinking about 20 million different things that I've never really taken the time to sit there. And I thought, I'm like, and that's why I've been actively, I can't get off forever, but I always kind of go in spurts of getting off social media just to clear out my head. And I just noticed in that moment, and the only reason I have social media is for the company pages and stuff like, because you have to have a personal page in order to run other pages, which is stupid. You should just be able to have a page. But so I noticed that I don't take enough time to actually sit there, and even when I'm hiking with my dogs or doing something like that, I'm still thinking about other things, and not just literally. Sometimes I'm not breathing. I'm not actually like taking a second to like look around and like focus on my breathing and really, you know,
In that moment,
it's crazy.
before you said that,
Yeah.
you actually took a breath.
Yeah.
And by
yeah.
taking the breath, you literally slowed everything down and became more present.
Yeah. You notice that too. It's just crazy, you know?
That's all, dude. The breath is always there. And that's why the breath is a common anchor in any meditation.
Yeah.
Because it is something that, whether you like it or not, it is there. And the
Mhm.
breath often informs us of our state. So
Yep.
if you're feeling like angry or like super hype or anxious, like your breath is going to be
Really
like short.
and faster.
It's going to be
right?
more stuck up in your chest. But if
Yeah.
you're just like chilling
Mhm.
and you're good, you know, the breath is going to be much longer, more in the belly. It's going to feel more grounded. So when we actually breathe with intention,
Right.
we literally change the state of where we are in that moment.
That was definitely a belly breath, and then I definitely instantly felt almost like a euphoria of calmness
Yeah.
that I haven't really noticed before until we just did that, which is weird. It
Dude,
is weird.
we're so
That was
powerful.
literally, like, you literally said everything I just felt, and I'm sure I go through that a lot, but it's because I'm not sitting here thinking about it that even that became aware to me. It was
Imagine
weird.
like all the people who are feeling stressed out or anxious or whatever it may be, and they think like, fuck, I need to go like buy a new watch to feel better, you know, or I need to I don't know, eat something or fuck something, or all these things that we think are gonna make us feel more grounded, more connected, better about ourselves. And all those things can be wonderful with intention, but the power to just breathe, like it's so simple, but often the greatest wisdom is so simple.
Right. Yeah, it's weird finding a balance between oversimplifying things sometimes, because I think we do that, but then actually taking it, but we also most of the time overcomplicate things. So yeah, I mean, I definitely try and oh, that didn't do anything, but try. I must have missed the button. Try and take a step back and you know, kind of be aware of yourself.
Yeah,
but,
man.
So did you get to watch the Rumble at all?
Fuck yeah.
Okay, good. So you saw that I had Ashley on, and Ashley co-host is a guest host on the WWE podcast
Right.
with Matt, and she's great. She's actually one of my favorite, and honestly, and I might be biased, but I think I can speak for most of the people that listen to that podcast. She's probably our favorite guest host just because she knows so much, and she's really chill, and it's just easy to talk to. So she came in, she drove from Virginia, so she drove really far to come up here, and she was great. And I was telling her that I didn't watch wrestling for a long time, so we were talking some memories that you didn't necessarily remember that I remember. Is I'm pretty sure I remember us playing with the little stuffed dolls,
Wrestling buddies.
wrestling buddies, right? It was like me, you, and our friend Jay Barbinell, and we used to go to his house and we would have like wrestling matches. And
I
different
never
things
thought
like that.
in 2020 I'd be on a podcast and someone would name drop Jay Barbinell.
I
It's
know,
wonderful.
that's weird. I'll have to tag him in this episode so he listens to it. But I remember, so I was a big fan growing up, and then towards middle school, again, I was getting more into sports and music and stuff, so I kind of fell out of it, and the Attitude Era ended. So it was kind of going in a different direction, and it wasn't Stone Cold and The Rock and some of those greats from that time, and even The Undertaker was like my all-time favorite when I was real young. Like, that's what got me into it. And then Stone Cold and Rock and stuff got me hooked. But then towards like sixth, seventh, eighth grade, I kind of started to get out of it. Like, didn't even watch it in high school.
So you just missed out, because in 8th grade, there was something called BCWF, Baltimore Championship Wrestling Federation. In Owings Mills, maybe 10, 15 minutes from where we are right now. I literally trained to be a pro wrestler and got to perform as a pro wrestler in 1999.
That's amazing.
In Owings
I'm so
Mills.
jealous. My only chance now is to be the next Diamond Dallas Page and start wrestling at 35, and then I'll be like 43, 44 by the time I actually make it, if I even get lucky enough to. And then I'm like starting from scratch. And
dude, he had a match like a month ago on cable.
I know. I just it would be my dream to actually have one match on television. That'd be pretty funny. I don't have to win any titles. I just want to get in there. It's just, I know with my back, even just jumping off the rope, I just crushed my back.
It's intense, man.
And people don't realize that, because everyone keeps bringing up the fact that scripting, like every single show on TV these days is scripted. Reality shows are even more scripted than wrestling, because sometimes the wrestlers don't even know who they're wrestling till they get in there. They just need to know all the calls and the different things, and usually one of the wrestlers takes the lead and will kind of call the match as they go along.
And reality shows are filmed, and there's a ton of post-production.
Yeah,
Pro wrestling is live in front of thousands of people.
You either nail it or you don't.
Yep.
And that's what I love. And I don't think people give it the credit for how hard it is. You're trying to act, but then the physicality of it. And no, they're not taking straight headshots with real chairs like in the 90s, but it still hurts. I mean, I just saw the Edge come back, and then the Randy Orton segment was just like, my heart skipped a beat, because I was like, just the look in Edge's eyes made like, oh my God, did I just hurt my neck again for real? And it's just, but anyway, my story is that I got out of wrestling for so long. And then I recently got back into it. I guess I was watching something on USA, and it just happened to be on in the background. And so I was starting to watch it, and so this is about a year and a half ago, maybe a little bit longer, whenever about the time that Becky got punched in the face. So I had been out of it forever. And I also didn't realize, because back then they didn't have women wrestlers doing like double backflips, gainers, like different stuff like that off the ropes. Like, they're incredible.
Or treat it just as credible athletes.
Yes, exactly. And I love that aspect of it now, because I'm watching some of them like, I only dream I could be that athletic and do some of those things. So I happened to be watching the SmackDown where Becky got punched. And it stood out to me because I haven't seen blood in WWE in years, or maybe by accident, but even those were far and few between. Now, maybe I haven't been watching the product as long, so I just haven't noticed it. But I know they specifically got rid of blood for a while, especially in script. So now that it was back, I'm like, wait, are they getting edgy? And then I've been watching, and then I've been slowly watching the progress of the script getting a little bit better. And I'm starting to really take aim. And now with AEW putting the pressure on WWE, I feel like they're even making it even better. And really, it's funny because they'll mention, the commentators will mention like, oh my goodness, and they'll talk about history between two wrestlers. I had no idea it even had history because I hadn't been watching the product. So then I'm going back and watching those matches, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't believe that they even had this, and now they're doing that now. So it's weird because I'm getting back into it as an older adult. So to me, it's almost like, it's kind of weird on one sense, but I'm not embarrassed at all. I love it. I tell everyone, I just love wrestling because I appreciate it as for what it is, and for the stuff. And I noticed that they have a lot more. I think it's less about the wrestling and more about the wrestlers, the actual wrestlers, like not their stage names, but them as people, because they have a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, and you get to see a lot of the stuff that they have to go through with training. Like I watched this whole segment on Seth Rollins and coming back from knee surgery and all that stuff. So you get invested in them as people and what they have to go through. So then when you see their character win, you're not even rooting for their character, you're rooting for them. Yeah. And you're rooting for the person. Yeah. So that's why I've gotten back into wrestling, because I'm rooting for a lot of these athletes as people, less like sometimes I'm not even into the storyline.
Yeah, no, you're right. And I wish they integrated that type of documentary style more into the actual cable programming. They do wonderful jobs with documentaries on the WWE Network, right, and other wrestling promotions, more YouTube, like padded content.
I feel like they're doing that because they have to keep, everyone knows it's scripted, but they still have to keep the kayfabe of the storyline, because once they start going into the individualized, especially like, think about people like Rusev and Lana and them, if they start going in their personal lives, and they know it's all scripted with the whole Bobby Lashley thing, then the story would probably mean less.
Yeah.
People wouldn't buy into the story as much. Because I know Edge and Randy Orton are friends, but like seeing that segment, even though they're friends, you can tell, you felt it. But if I had known, like if they showed a segment of them like joking backstage or doing something, and then I wouldn't buy it. No, I know that's extreme. I'm saying the extremes there.
And I think that's often why that more realistic type of content is maybe separate from the more fictionalized TV episodes. But
I think that's why that's exactly why they put it on there.
Yeah, but
I think that draws people in too.
And that's what's always helped me go deeper into wrestling. I mean, ever since I was a child, I was just as fascinated with the business of wrestling, the production of wrestling, the storytelling, the marketing of wrestling. Honestly, I've had relative success in rock bands, and I've been just as influenced in stage performance and a merch table and branding and marketing from pro wrestling. Pro wrestling really inspired how do I market a band? How do I perform as a band? As you know, and I'm sure we'd get to, I spent 18 months working for Ring of Honor Wrestling.
Yeah,
in a branding and communications
I
role.
actually just talked to Greg the other day because we're both going to be in Vegas around the same time.
Okay, yeah, March,
which is funny.
I'd assume.
Yeah.
And Ring of Honor is one of the world's premier pro wrestling companies, and I had the privilege to contribute for significant length of time.
That's really cool.
In a significant role there, and one of the ways in which I was not as successful as I would have hoped was with this not only brand campaign, because they're still running the brand. This notion of honor is real.
Right.
And they're still using that, which is wonderful. But I wanted to go so much deeper with this idea of honor is real. And because what we were alluding to is, if I'm gonna ask my mom what she knows about pro wrestling, or if I'm gonna ask the average person, what do you know about pro wrestling? If they don't say Hulk Hogan or The Rock, they'll just say, oh yeah, like that's fake.
Right.
I just did an interview a couple days ago, and the woman was trying to wrap her head around, oh, so you did this pro wrestling thing, like, what is that, like the TV stuff? And so, yeah, and that is such an antiquated conversation. So it's this idea of like, yeah, motherfucker, no shit, it's fake. But what is real? Right. Honor is real. Like Ring of Honor Wrestling. And I really wanted to have, kind of storytell, the passion is real. The connection is real. The hours that these athletes not only spend in the gym, but spend away from their families.
The travel schedule.
And not only that, the hours that the fans will drive and wait in the freezing cold to get in. Like, that's the real stuff. And I really wish we could have told more stories around that. Yeah. And this idea that, like, that all of that encompasses honor. And yeah, pro wrestling may be fake, but honor is real. So, I was able to get that through with varying degrees of success, but I really wanted to elevate the genre in the eyes of the public, because I feel when pro wrestling is done at its highest levels, it's one of the most effective forms of performance art.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's crazy. Did you get to, so what did you think about the Edge return? So for people that don't know, one of the...
Man, I got fucking logged out right before it happened.
You want to watch it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
It might, eventually WWE might subpoena me to take it out of the podcast, but...
Wonderful.
Yeah, well...
I've seen a cease and desist from WWE as well in person.
Yeah, so I'll do that. I'll do it until they take it down, But...
I got logged out for like 2 minutes. It took 2 minutes to log back in, and as soon as we logged back in, Edge was in the ring.
Dude, I got goosebumps, and it was to the point where... And I loved Edge, but like even when he retired, I had already stopped watching wrestling. I feel like by that point, because it was like 2004, 5 maybe.
No,
or was it later? 2011.
It was later.
So wow, yeah, I had stopped watching wrestling probably at least 03.
I was at his
by then.
Wrestling is so weird. I was at his live sex celebration in Hershey, Pennsylvania.
Oh wow,
2006.
So I do remember when he retired though, because even though I didn't watch wrestling on the regular, like I would see all the big events and see stuff around. Man, those dogs have been going crazy for a while. We might have to cut out after this. the look in his eyes, man, you couldn't hide it. It was just. So what I started to say before is for people that don't follow wrestling. So Edge is a wrestler. I forget his real name right now.
Adam Copeland.
Adam Copeland. So who had a severe neck injury to the point where like they're like you can never like it's either you're going to be paralyzed basically. So he had like double or triple neck surgery or something like that. Was never going to be able to wrestle again, and then finally came back 9 years later, 8 years later, or whatever, to the Rumble. He's on a 3-year contract, so he has something like he has to do 25 TV appearances and like 3 wrestling matches a year, which is a great schedule, and he's getting paid a lot of money. So, but we're going to play his return, and it just gives you goosebumps. This is the type of stuff, like, I haven't heard something like this since maybe like Stone Cold or some of those other kind of pops that you get, but yeah, and it sucks because people that are listening cannot see the look in his eyes, because when we're talking about the people, not the characters, he could not hide. Like, as much as he wanted to try and stay in character, if you look in his eyes, you can tell that's Adam Copeland with, like, that look in his eyes, like, holy shit, I'm back. Like, I can't believe 8 years ago I was almost paralyzed, you know? So this is really incredible. So here we go. This is Edge's return at the Royal Rumble.
Who's it gonna be?
You think you know me?
No way. Oh my! You gotta be kidding me. The rated R superstar! Edge is here!
I feel like they kind of, some of the camera work at the Rumble was like off.
Yeah,
they
man,
like
they
missed
cut
the
away,
spear
right?
and other things. Like, but look at the look in his eyes. Like, I mean, this is incredible. I'm getting goosebumps right now just watching this. And it's a great entrance too.
In a baseball stadium.
Yeah.
It's been 9 long years. Edge, who retired in 2011 after triple fusion neck surgery. Edge with a spear.
Oh,
Yeah, they edited out that
I was
first
just
spear.
I was just about to say they definitely edited it because they missed the first spear.
Right.
And so they went straight to the second one to make it look
Poor Dolph Ziggler.
dude, Dolph. I would love to be a Dolph. He's one of the best in-ring. Like, he sells it so well.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he doesn't get hurt more. Like, how does he not get hurt more? Because he got clotheslined, but then he went straight on his neck and then flipped over. And I was like, I don't know how he did that. How he makes it look so real like that
Right.
without actually hurting himself. But that was fun. That was
Oh, yeah.
cool.
Dolph Ziggler, he did stand up like 20 minutes from here not too long ago.
Yes, and I almost went to that, which is funny. So he kind of left for a little bit, took a little break. He had kind of like a handshake deal with Vince. Like, he's been with the company so long, and I just remember an interview.
How do you
he
know
said-
this, Josh? How do you know he has a handshake deal with Vince?
He was talking about it in an interview.
Oh, okay.
That's what I was about to
Okay.
go. Yeah. So he was like, I didn't really have a contract, so they allowed me to go do the comedy, but I told him I'd be back. You know, like, whatever you need, I'll do.
Hell yeah.
And then he's just been in the thing forever. But he's always been such a great. He's like a Miz, but you know, one of those company guys.
Yeah. But
So-
yeah, but I respect, you know, really anyone. To most, they'd be like, oh, you have the dream job, and like, why would you want to do anything else? But like,
Oh yeah.
you know, as human beings, like we
Yeah.
have all kinds of desires,
Mhm.
and I really respect whether a pro wrestler or anyone else who finds ways to you know, continue growing and stretching and trying new things and
think-
really owning all the different aspects within your desire.
I think people focus too much on one thing and then think they need to be known for one thing. I have so many loves like wrestling and music and sports and stuff. Like, who says I can't just go be a sports anchor if I want to be
Yeah.
and get out of music and then combine that and maybe host musical events or do other, like, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah,
you know?
the only
I don't-
person that
doesn't
really-
make me less or doesn't make me a failure. It just means I have a lot of interests that I can do.
The
you
only
know?
person that would stop you is yourself.
Yeah. For sure.
I try to be the living embodiment of that. You know, I still get to be a drummer and a musician in all kinds of ways, whether I'm sharing as a therapy or at a conference or in a rock band on stage, which I still do. And I got to live this dream working in pro wrestling at a high level. You know, I got to work Madison Square Garden within this past year, sold out. I never thought something like that would have been possible while still being able to maintain this therapy and music practice, while still playing in a band, while still at that time having a podcast. Anything's possible.
For sure.
Anything is possible.
And I'm very jealous that you've pulled the trigger and done what you do, because I would have loved to have kind of gone down some of the same paths and been able to do that. And there's been opportunities where I have had that. I've had opportunities a long time ago to work for certain companies or go with certain bands, and then I was either in school or I couldn't do this. And then when I finally got the opportunity to, I've changed. I'm just different, you know, and it sucks because I feel like maybe 10 years ago, I would have been great. You know, I would have gotten more out of what I'm doing now. But now I'm kind of reverting to where I want to do this now. So it kind of worked out. It's almost like it's a perfect match. But so yeah, man, you're also in a band and you get to do your music stuff still. So you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I've been in this band over 3 years now. It's called Reindeer. And
I really dig it, man.
Thanks,
man.
man.
It's really something that it's not the normal genre I listen to, but I love it in the sense of I really like that type of music that you guys are doing.
Thanks, dude.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I call it psych pop. We get compared to bands like MGMT a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, this dude Charlie, he's been in he has been Reindeer for a while now. I think it's 4 full-length records.
Wow.
And with a rotating cast of band members,
Mm-hmm.
and he would record, perform, mix everything himself. And once I joined the band, it feels like I'm the first, I think, other musician to write their own parts and record and really help with what shows should we book? How should we market these shows?
Mm-hmm.
And a little over a year ago, we brought my brother in, who plays bass, and I've played in bands with all my life, and our buddy Dave, who plays keys, but he's an incredible drummer as well. So now
Shout out Justin.
Hell yeah.
I wish we need to have both of you in here. At some
Yeah,
point.
he's in South Florida right now.
Oh, okay.
When he gets back. But Dave, he's an incredible drummer, percussionist as well. So now this is the first time we're writing and recording songs with all 4 of us. So Dave will be using drumsticks on synth pads with triggered samples, and it's fun, man. Like, we got to headline Hamden Fest this past fall, and played incredible venues in DC and Philly, and we get to. The band, even since I've been in it, have done 2 U.S. tours where we've just hired a drummer to go on my place. During these times, I was, working with Ring of Honor, and still have my therapy practice, and I teach guitar and drum lessons. So, but yeah, I mean, Reindeer
cool.
got to go to L.A. and play sold out 800 people at the Terragram Ballroom.
That's awesome.
In the past maybe year and a half. So yeah, we're co-headlining a show at the Autobar in Baltimore at the end of April.
Awesome.
And
Sweet. I'll
it's
come to
just
that.
it's a joy to do this, man. I fucking love it. I feel most
I'm jealous.
alive when I'm on a stage behind a drum set with a rock band, doing it with my friends.
Yeah, I would love to get back more into the musician side. I just need to start getting my chops back a little bit, to the point where I could just show up and play anything,
Yeah.
And that's going to take me a little bit. But now that I have some time, I'm hoping to do it. I'm hoping to kind of get back into playing more music, because it really is the most incredible feeling.
It is, man.
Just playing in front of people.
I don't take it
no
for
matter
granted.
how many people are there, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, to me, I mean, every show is a gift. It's a privilege to get to do this. I spent the majority of my youth dreaming about being a drummer in a rock band, and I've got to live that dream now, hundreds of times.
Yeah.
It's lovely.
Yeah. Cool. Well, this is the song Glow, right?
Glow.
It has periods next. Does it stand for something? What is it, an acronym for something?
I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't even know like half the fucking lyrics of this band.
That's so funny. Yeah. All you have to do is do your drum part, as long as you know your drums.
Yeah, I mean, I'll sing along, but
Right.
Just melodies or whatever.
Cool. Awesome. Well, this is Glow from Reindeer. No, I know, but what's the thing called where like people
I mean, seizures.
So people have seizures, but what's the thing called that?
Oh, epilepsy.
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know.
This band Boy Crazy I was in, since like 2005, we had bought 2 atomic strobe lights. These are state-of-the-art $500 strobe lights at the time. We tried one. The first show we just did one. We literally gave a teenage girl a seizure. She got stretchered out of the show. It was so
I would
intense.
feel horrible.
Well, yeah. It was scary.
It's no one's like fault, but still.
No, well, I mean, maybe it was our fault. But
Well, if she knows that that's gonna happen,
maybe that's when she found out, right?
I don't know any concerts that don't have a lot of lights unless it's like.
Yeah. Well, now you at some shows there will be, and we had to start doing this just to cover our own asses. We would post signs at the door of that strobes would be used.
Yeah.
But yeah, she in the CD with all the thanks. The girl that had the seizure was the last person thanked in that CD.
I would have forgot that was on, and it would have just been playing in the background, and they probably would have gone to the next couple videos in line, and it would have just kept going. But yeah, no, I mean, that's a great song. I really like it.
Thanks, man.
Actually, my friend Mike Meager, he's I've been trying to jam with him. I've just been so busy because I've been gone. I need to hit him up, and he has music very similar to this. It'd be kind of cool to go jam with him a little bit.
Cool.
Yeah, I'd love to have the whole band in if you guys want to come in here. That'd be fun, right?
That would be fun.
And then maybe so my other friend is coming in, and he's going to premiere one of his songs just a week before, so people come listen on the podcast, and then you can get it everywhere.
It's funny, Charlie.
With the video, hopefully we'll have by then. You guys can have my drum set here, so you guys can do an acoustic kind of a thing here.
Charlie,
the video.
Charlie, the singer. It blows my mind that this is the truth, but he loves 311, and I never would have expected that. And 311 is a band I adored many years ago, and again, like a Linkin Park, I really hadn't thought about them for a while. So Charlie and I, we went to the movies last 311 Day to see that documentary, and watching that movie, it made me really appreciate them again. And we ended up seeing them at Merriweather this past summer, and it was so good. I really enjoyed it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's amusing to me that a band like 311 would be something that the singer of a band like this and I would bond over. It surprised me that he was that into them.
Yeah, no, we would have a ton to talk about then, because I feel like you obviously see I have a ton of posters up. I'm not as I don't travel as much to see them like I did. There was like a 2-year span where I was traveling, but they also had a lot of good openers, so it was kind of worth it. You know, you'd have 311, but then you'd also have like Dirty Heads or Revolution or other bands like that I wanted to see. So it made it worth it. So I have a lot of these posters and stuff for the concerts I went to. Now, the poster game apparently is very popular, but I always just get the standard $30 poster at the shows that I go to. And I like to get them when I go to the local shows because it has the Maryland, theme on it. And then I went to Vegas twice, so I have the double poster there. And then all my cruise posters because I've been on all of them. I'm trying to keep that streak up. I'm going to 311 Day, and it's the first time I've been to 311 Day in a few years, since maybe like 2014 or 2012 even.
Oh, and that's why you're going to Vegas.
Yes, for 311 Day. So that's in like 33 days, 32 days. So I'm excited for that because they play all these deep cuts, and it's just incredible shows. And then you can see the fans are really cool. They're great fans. I'm not a big Vegas guy. I don't gamble or anything like that. I don't even drink that much anymore. But this one I'm just going to enjoy the music. Like, I'm not even going to take a lot of videos or anything.
Cool,
not
man.
even going to do any of that. I usually try and take some video. Like on the cruise, I brought my gimbal because it's a destination, so I wanted to get that footage. But I really from now on, I really don't think I'm going to bring my camera or anything too much. But we would have a great time talking, and I highly recommend anyone going to either 311 Day or going on the cruise at least once.
Yeah.
Just go once. It's life-changing.
Yeah.
And you'll that's why I'm such a big fan, because I've been very lucky that I've gotten to go to a lot of the big things, like Powwow Festival and the cruises, 311 Day, all the different things where they play a lot. And that's what made me fall in love with them, was seeing all these I'm like, I didn't realize 311 could be pretty heavy. Like some of their set lists can be just great, and it always has great melody and stuff like that. And honestly, it's nostalgia. I grew up listening to them and playing that when I was like 12.
It's 100% nostalgia,
for sure.
Which is completely credible.
Yes.
I think what I so respect about their band though is the reason why they can do cruises and these festivals and like destination 311 Day sets is because they've built community around them.
It's literally a lifestyle for a lot of these people. And sometimes I'll see the same people at every single thing. And I know they go to more events than I do because I don't always get to go to all of them. And I'm like, how do you get off work so much? I'm so jealous. is your job hiring? Will they let me off that much? Like,
Right.
you know, so I need to find a job that'll let me travel like that, because some of them,
Is there a 311 podcast?
No.
That's an opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to have one of them on here. I know Howie from Ballyhoo, he just had Nick Hexum on his 100th.
Okay.
So that's pretty cool. I could never get it. I haven't been aiming that high. And it's not even, and I bet you if I had a really solid kind of advance to send to people with video, but that'll come in time. You know, I'm not rushing this, but I'm working towards getting to that point where I can have that footage
Look,
and
dude,
stuff like that.
I mean, first of all, your setup already is
thank you.
pretty incredible.
I really
But
appreciate that.
What's inspiring about you is, yeah, you have these, you have a vision to grow and to do more, but the fact is that you didn't wait to get there. Like, you've already started.
Right.
And most people just don't start.
No,
Most
that's
people, and I think usually,
and I'm even guilty of that in the past.
we all are.
Yeah.
Because
for sure.
it's vulnerable to create.
I still even have worries. I'm like, man, am I going to get to episode 50 and just like not want to do it anymore?
And if
I
that
know the
happens, what's wrong with that, though?
Yeah, no, I agree. And that's something I came with before I actually went all out and said, okay, I want to start investing in this and making it right. But even still, you know, I love doing it. It really is therapy more than anything. So I know right off the bat I'm not going to have a ton of listeners until I can build it up to a certain point. And again, we had even talked about earlier, maybe off mic, that, you know, a lot of podcasts are specific to a topic or specific to something. And I really didn't want to do it because, and I did struggle with, should I make this a management, like a music or advice podcast? And there will be some of that. I try to keep it to a minimum. I've talked about it before, but I really want this to be more entertainment value than advice. I want people to enjoy it. Now, I do want people to get informed about things too, but I do want to have it be current and be things that I'm interested in talking about and people that I'm interested in talking to. You know, bringing you in here is almost like bringing myself in here. It really is, because I was like, what am I going to cover a lot? And so far it's been music and wrestling and stuff like that. And I'm
And Jay Barbanel.
Yeah. And Jay Barbanel. He's probably been mentioned more than anyone else on this podcast because we mentioned him 2 or 3 times now.
Yeah.
If we do it at least 1 or 2 more times before we end, he will officially probably be the most mentioned person on the podcast history.
Do you keep in touch with? I know no one listening to this besides him gives a fuck, but I don't care. When's the last time you talked to him?
So I follow him on Facebook. I follow a lot of people on Facebook or other forms of that, and I'll comment here and there, and I like to like a lot of photos without, you know I'm there, but I don't actually have to comment. But I like to follow everyone because I do love seeing everyone doing so well and having their family. Like some people that I think back to when I knew them back then, and I'm like, and seeing them with kids and stuff like that, it's totally different. Like people I thought were going to be total fuck ups ended up being like engineers and like smart kids. People I thought were going to be, you know, successful in certain areas to do other things, you know, are in jail or other, you know, it's crazy. It's just weird to me.
I think a lot of parents of kids in grade school thought my brother and I would be maybe not fuck ups, but they were definitely, there was many parents that did not care for their children hanging out with us. And the funny thing is, the ironic thing is,
I never got that vibe.
He
I
and
always
I,
thought you guys were like good, respectful kids.
Well, you know, and we went to private school, a very
young.
conservative private school for middle school. Our parents, one of the most wonderful ways that they parented us was to allow us to express ourselves. And I think the philosophy was, as long as we're not hurting ourselves or anyone else, then if you want to wear a Marilyn Manson t-shirt, or if you want to paint your fingernails or anything like that, like go for it. We had our ears pierced in elementary school, and I remember that. It was a thing.
I was jealous.
It was
I remember that.
It was like a thing.
I got a tattoo in high school, like early high school. That was as badass.
So
I
waited right until I graduated high school to get my lip pierced at the time. I remember that was like a big thing for me.
Yeah.
But the point is, the ironic thing with these parents that were skeptical was, he and I, like in grade school especially, we thought it was cooler not to drink or not to smoke weed.
Yeah.
Because we saw everyone else doing it. And I think part of it was just we didn't want to be like everyone else. But also it was like, yo, I can have just as much fun like playing music with my friends and not doing that. And
you and your brother work out a lot, though. I see he does a lot of stuff in that. He's a fitness
he's
guy.
a trainer.
I've been trying to go to him. It's honestly, it was been a matter of schedule, and I've been putting it off for years. And I really do just want to get a couple sessions in with him and try and keep it consistent.
Yeah, man. But
maybe he'll come to my house. Maybe he'll come here.
Do
do a podcast. Give me a workout. We can film the podcast of him giving me a workout.
Hell yeah.
That probably get some views. But anyway, yeah, I think when you're that young, you can't tell what you're going to be when you're older. You know, you don't know who's going to influence you and do different things. And I've been lost, and I've done things that I regret in the sense of, well, I don't have any regrets, obviously. The one regret I have is smoking. If I would have never smoked cigarettes, I would have gone back and never even touched one. Because it never started off as being, it was because I was a skateboarder, and like the older kids from high school would come when I was in 8th grade, and they would come skate at our middle school. And then, you know, they would offer you a hit and you'd take it, you know, and then it grew into something. And I was like, man, that's the one regret I have. But other than that, every single thing I've gone through in my life has definitely shaped me to get to this point. But
what did you think of the movie Mid-90s?
The what?
The movie Mid-90s.
I don't think I've seen that, or if it has,
really?
It's been a while. Yeah.
It came out a year ago, maybe a bit more. Jonah Hill, I think, wrote and directed it. It's literally probably your life.
Oh yeah,
it's.
I'm sure.
It was teenagers in the mid-90s that I related in the sense that the movie opened with the kid in his bedroom with the wrestling buddies and the same Ninja Turtle bed
oh, you know
sheets
what?
I
have seen that. See, here's the thing. I'm really bad at remembering movies and movie quotes and TV quotes.
Okay.
I've seen movies, but I'll forget the next day anything that happened in the movie.
Yeah, but it was and
I'm really jealous that I can't, because I get left out of a lot of conversations because they're like talking about stuff that I should know or that I know,
right?
But I can't then sit there and like join in.
Sure,
like I know what they're talking about, but I can't join in. But yeah,
okay. So it's a skateboarding.
I need to
movie.
go see it. I'm gonna go watch it.
Yeah, it's incredible.
I was a total '90s kid. I mean that's just what I am. That's what I love. I love that music. I've always been there, and
they did
it was just a great time to grow up. To be honest with you.
Yeah, they did a great job capturing even just like the aspect ratio and the cinematography. Like they captured, you know, I had a skateboard. I didn't fucking skateboard. I just wanted to fit in.
Yeah.
But for someone like you who really lived that culture
I love
at that
skateboarding.
time, like they captured it.
Music and
well.
skateboarding was HF Festival, all that was just such a big cultural thing for me. And I went on YouTube. I'm trying to find HF Festival clips, and there's like none.
There's a few
Zero.
out there.
There's like 5, and there's like a couple recaps, but there's none that have like the one where Limp Bizkit and everyone's throwing the bottles.
Yeah.
And like it's just insane, and like you can feel the stands going up and down. It's just Rage Against the Machine when they were playing in the rain, and they broke up later that year.
Yeah.
And so I got to see them right before they broke up, and it just so many memories, and it was such a historical thing. And then go from all that to like I was driving midday, I guess it was high school, and all of a sudden I think Nirvana was playing, and then it switched over to some Mexican music.
Yeah.
And I thought I pressed a button.
I was in Los Angeles when that happened. It was heartbreaking. El Sol.
Yeah,
you mentioned snowboarding earlier. Did you go to the HFS snow jobs?
So I did. Didn't they have one at Liberty at one point?
I went. I
I
think they had a handful. I went to one with
my snowboards right up above you. All my different stuff right there.
The one I went to was Lit.
Yes.
Long Beach Dub All Stars.
Yes.
Good Charlotte.
Yes. Good Charlotte. Yes.
Yeah.
That was an awesome one. And I got to see Lit. I went up to the guy because they signed my poster, and no one was at their table.
At the show we're talking about?
No. So on the Warped Cruise I went on that poster.
Oh, a couple years ago.
I'm pointing to the poster.
Yeah.
Lit was on there, and I went up to them because I noticed that no one was at their table. They're just standing around.
Right.
Everyone's like Good Charlotte. They actually can't cut off Good Charlotte at one point, and so many people were pissed. But all the other bands, even like Aquabats, all those bands, they had a ton of Real Big Fish. They all had like a lot of people. Lit was just standing there. I'm like, man, you guys are like one of my favorite bands. Like they were the reason I went up, and I said, no. I'm like, I'm surprised there's no one else around here, because honestly, you are pretty much one of the reasons I came on this cruise was to see you guys. Because actually, the first tattoo I ever got was from that video. He had the flaming dice on his arm.
Sure, yeah.
And so I got that. That was the first tattoo I got. Well, actually, the first my dad took me to get. That's how cool. When you were talking about your dad, I was about to say that and I forgot. But that's so cool that your parents are so supportive, because mine have always allowed me to be different. I would go into Sacred Heart with like my nails painted, and I'd have to go into the nurse's office. And my friend Lisa, it was her mom. I forget it. I don't know if her name was Lisa too, Miss Lisa. I can't remember at this point, but she would always have a bottle of nail polish remover ready, and none of the girls ever needed it. It was always me that needed to use it, and I would go in there, and but my parents were always supportive, and they still are to this day, in me pursuing this. And even if it doesn't work out, who knows? Or even if it's not even that it doesn't work out, even if I fall in love with something else and pursue other things, like, they allowed me to do this. And I know I want to do music, and I know this is what I want to do in some form or fashion. And more so that we were talking about giving back, I want to do it in a way that helps people, or helps people navigate how difficult it is, you know? And I also want to change things, because I think if we think to the future, we can change how it's done. So who says we have to do it? Why isn't there a collective way to get your royalties? Why isn't there one central way, a national database or a national thing that if you're going to be on Spotify and you're going to get paid, then you need to sign up for this, because then you also need to account for taxes. And, you know, why isn't there something like that where a band just knows exactly? And that's fine. Take what they need to take, but then make sure that we're getting what we need to pay, because a lot of the reason people don't get or make as much, and it's such a hard industry, is because they don't realize their money's out there waiting to be taken. It's just sitting there, you know? It's stuff you've earned. I'll get into detail about that in some other episode, I'm sure, in the future, but
I'm still the fact that you have a lit tattoo on your arm.
Well, I don't anymore. It's covered up.
Well, at one point,
it wasn't a lit tattoo. It was for a friend that passed away, but the reason I got the dice was
there was inspiration there.
Inspiration for that. And so, like, I put the 4th. It was snake. It was like singles, or maybe it was 4, because it was November 4th that he passed away. And then I remember I got the flame, because it was really a reminder to me to, like, don't take things for granted and be smart, because in an instant, like, he was a good friend growing up. He had moved away because his parents had gotten divorced at the time. He kind of got into drugs and stuff. It was a hard divorce, I'm sure. And then I saw him later, and he moved back, and he was doing really well. So I was, like, really happy. And then, long story short, he overdosed, and we were in high school. I guess we were in high school at that point. Yeah, we were, because I got this when I was in high school. I was at Loyola when I got this. So, but that's still young. I mean, he was like 14, 15, and he was already, like, doing heroin and stuff like that. It's just horrible. And so that was my reminder, and that's why I got that. But the reason I got that style and what it was, and then kind of put my own spin on it to make it meaningful. And it's my most meaningful tattoo. Now, I don't have it because it stinks, because when you're that young, you don't think about placement. In the sense of, I liked it there because it wasn't showing when I had my arms just like this. It was on the underneath, and it was small. But now when I'm older, I want to get my sleeve. I'm like, oh, it's in the way. Yeah. You know? And then you're like, crap, but I don't want to cover it up. It's my most mean. But I'm like, well, I can get it tattooed. I can get it somewhere else. And I still haven't gotten it because I want to update it a little bit and get something a little bit better. And it's been a long time. At that point, I was grieving. Now I've kind of come to deal with it. So it's like, it's still special, and I want to get something, but at the same time, I'm not in a rush as much as I was when I was younger, because it affected me then, because, you know, you're just different when you're younger. But
placement is key with tattoos. I have a couple, and luckily I was intentional enough. I have this Radiohead Kid A tattoo.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like right above my hip on the side. So obviously I knew something like with that. It's, you know, no one needed to ever see that.
I got a bulk. Yeah. No, same. I have some that are on my body that I specifically are not showing.
But I have one on my thigh, like the 1980s WWF tattoo.
Oh, that's dope.
And, like, I'll look at it every day and be like, yeah, that's cool.
Speaking of
it's
tattoo,
funny.
Look on the screen.
Whoa, that is weird.
How
reindeer tattoo.
Yeah, and that's crazy.
Yeah, that is very crazy.
Very
but what also is crazy is that at one point in my life, I thought, you know what, let me get a WWF tattoo on my thigh. And it's amusing, but it's fucking dumb.
Yeah, but I don't mind that. It's on your thigh. It's not like people are going to see it all the time.
No. You know.
But I love wrestling, so who cares, you know? Like, I might even get one now. I might get one.
Hell yeah, man.
Shit, I might get one. I
get in the same spot.
I got a lot of tattoos in a short period of time. So I got, like, a couple small ones when I was younger, like in high school. And then I got maybe 1 or 2 in college. But then, like, I think from, like, 26 to 28, that's when I started doing my sleeves and stuff, because I always wanted to be presentable. I didn't want to have too many. I wanted to be able to wear sleeves. Like, that's what I was always trained to think.
Right.
But then I worked at a job, a 9 to 5, when I was first getting out of college, where I was like, my boss was, honestly, he was kind of a dick. And we went to a company picnic one time, or like a company party, and I remember seeing him, and I remember how proper he always looked, and he was just like such an uppity guy. But then when he was there, he was so nice, and he had tattoos all over his body. And I never noticed that because they must have just cut off right before his sleeves.
Yeah.
So I never even noticed that. And even in the summertime, I think he always wore a suit. So I never really saw that.
And at this point, I think tattoos are so normalized.
They are.
Honestly,
they
like,
are. But at that time, I didn't know. So that's
Yeah.
why I got all these. So I got probably like 10 grand worth of tattoos
Wow.
in like a two-year period of time. And then I didn't get a lot. And I've only gotten one in the last like 2-3 years or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't have any desire at this point, I think, but maybe this.
I have a lot of stuff I want to finish up too that never got finished because like this one guy just disappeared.
Right.
Sometimes that happens with tattoo artists. One guy that started this one, and I had to get my other friend to finish it, and he did an amazing job finishing it up.
Right.
But because you can't tell, he made it. I told him the style. I'm like, I want to keep it so it looks like it's all one piece.
Sure.
Because unfortunately, I had to have 3 different people do it because for whatever reasons, but. I'm lucky because I actually did take my time and I love everything I have. There's
That's
nothing
smart,
that I regret having on there. The one thing that I had to go over was because it was placement. It had nothing to do with the tattoo itself.
Right.
But I've had good artists. I've gone to good people. My friend Gina did my leg, have my musical leg. Originally my arm was supposed to be my musical, but at the time I wanted to keep all this side of my body black and white and then this side could be color. But in order to cover this up, because it had color and flame on it, he said he had to do like a black and gray microphone, but then he could do like a red rose. And I didn't want to have any color. But then when I ended up going to this guy, when I showed up, I thought he was going to do all this in black and white. And he said, I got to do it in color. And then I was like, oh, crap. So I ended up having color anyway. So then that's the only color, though. That's the only color I have on my arm. Everything else, well, he did a little red shade, here and then here. But other than that, everything else is black and white on this side.
It's cool.
But then this ended up being black and white and not all color, too. So it doesn't matter.
I'm looking at this Just Josh podcast logo. Maybe I'll get that tattooed on me.
That would be dope.
Right?
I mean, I would pay you for the advertisement. You'd have to get it on your forehead, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the thing now.
I just want to manage good people, first of all. Number one, be a good person, have the right intentions, know that this is not easy, but be willing to put in the time and be smart. You know, just take your time and be smart. You know, people want to rush things. And I know it's short term because they want to know where their next paycheck's coming from. But if you really want to do this, then you need to be business smart and think of it long term and really put the time in. But my point of all this is I just want to manage good people that have good music, that want to get it out there and want to take the time to do it right. So whether it's country, a rap artist, you know, rock, and honestly, I listen to more heavy music than anything else. 90s, you know, metalcore, stuff like that. Even pop punk I love, you know, more. But so I have the colors on there. It's like red, gold, and green, and I didn't even realize that till after I did it. And I put up the things, but it's okay. I think it's subtle. I don't think it's it doesn't look like, oh, this is a reggae thing. I would hope not.
Yeah.
But this is also temporary. I think I'm only going to keep this for the first season. So I'll probably do about 20 episodes in the first season, cut it off. So I can stay current, kind of regroup, and then do a season 2 with like 25 episodes.
Okay.
And kind of build it that way. And then every year change the logo for that season or have different things for that season. So. But that sucks because I can't use that background again. But that's all right. That wasn't expensive. I like that thing. I put that in. I'm just waiting to finish the rest of it.
Yeah, man. When I walked in here, I was very impressed in the sense that you definitely pay attention to not only detail but just environment.
Yeah.
You know,
No,
and not only for the guests, but I think for yourself.
No.
It makes you feel like you're doing something that you're taking seriously.
Yeah, for sure. No, I do. And again, it's, you know, I don't have a whole production team or anything like that, but I think I can do a lot with a little. That's what I've always prided myself on.
We all can,
especially
yeah.
with like in the management sense.
Yeah.
You know, I'm very good in that sense. If put in a position that I can do what I want. Now, if I'm just having to do what someone else says, or if I'm like lower down the totem pole, I try not to step on toes or do anything. You know, I just do my job. But then people don't really get to see the real me. They don't get to see my real personality, what I'm really capable of, and how I treat people, being that I'm the guy in charge, you know?
Right.
Because it is much different, you know? And there is less stress because I can create that environment, you know? But, yeah, man, it's going to be ever-changing. Even now, I was almost embarrassed to have you in because half the wall's missing from what it was before. But
yeah, man, little by little, I think the nice thing about technology that we have and these resources and the internet is we can just do these projects that when we were kids would have seemed impossible. And the fact that you can just iterate from episode to episode, and each time maybe pick up another piece of equipment or another piece of atmosphere for the room. And
yeah, for sure.
There's no rules.
What I really want to do, I keep forgetting to get people to do videos that say, hey, you're watching the Just Josh podcast, or I'm Jordan Goodman. This is the Just Josh podcast. And then using that and then also I want to get a Polaroid, so I can get a Polaroid, take their picture, and then I eventually want to put all the pictures up here. So in the background behind the people, not only are the soundboards and the logo, but the pictures of everyone that's been in here.
That's cool, man.
That's my thing. But thank you so much for coming in. I know you have to run kind of, but is there anything you want to rep or anything people can check out Beatwell or anything else that you're doing? Any shows coming up?
Yeah. April 25th, Reindeer at Autobar. It's a Saturday night.
Awesome. I'll be there.
Beatwell.org. I didn't really get to speak about this, but, I did the pro wrestling thing for a bit more than a year and a half and really spent 4 months pitching and negotiating. So, 2 years of my life was heavily focused on that, and choosing to leave it and come back, it took me some time to figure out, like, okay, how do I want to build my life? How do I want to build my career? Mm-hmm. Because the benefit of choosing rhythm as my service is that I've been able to do it with the most diverse groups of people for all these different types of outcomes. And I've been getting more clear on when I feel most alive in the work. I actually just today confirmed to do work with a speaking coach who has worked in the field of speaking and conferences and media and things like that for decades. And I'm going to invest heavily in myself. So Beatwell.org over the next few months will likely change drastically.
Awesome.
But it may be interesting to maybe see it now and then maybe 3-4 months from now and see what this new vision will be. At least for me, I'll speak for myself. I'm always trying to be reflective and pay attention to what gives me energy. And then, as far as a career, how can that be of service to whom?
Yeah.
And there's no rules. I really enjoy speaking with college students. I really enjoyed the podcast I had done with my brother and our good friend, Matt Halpern, who's a drummer for a band called Periphery. And we did that. It's called Chocolate Croissants. We have over 50 episodes you can check out on any podcast app. And what I really enjoyed about that project and speaking specifically with college students was this idea there are no fucking rules. And I think especially people our age, we were educated in a way and we were raised in a culture that kept people in a box in many ways, but especially now, like with just the internet and technology, that anything is possible. This is proof of it. And we can connect at scale with people interested in a very niche idea or service or thing or passion. And it's really exciting. Yeah. It's really exciting. And so for me, I'm just constantly trying to audit, what gives me energy and how can I share that?
That's really cool, man. Yeah, I guess I totally forgot about that. We didn't really talk about the podcast, but that's cool.
No,
that
but
you got
it's
to
great.
do that.
Those episodes live
They're
on.
still up there. Yeah,
Yeah.
so please check that out. I've listened to them, and I love it. Matt Halpern's great, obviously, and then just you guys together were great, too. I think
Thanks,
you have a
man.
real chemistry, and it was good topics. I just enjoyed it,
Thanks, dude.
Very
so
good
yeah,
listening.
Chocolate Croissants or Reindeer on a music streaming app. And I don't know, go do something nice for someone today.
And if anyone's looking, any companies or anything like that, or looking for services or some, stuff as far as Beatwell, please check it out and reach out to them, because it really does make a difference. I wish, some of the 9-to-5s that I had, I wish there was a program or people that could do the same thing for us, because I've seen bad environments. I mean, it's a huge thing. That's 80% of productivity is the environment,
I believe that, and we spend so much of our lives in a work environment around colleagues, and for me, it's non-negotiable to not invest the effort and time to really consider how are we spending our time. Culture is everything, whether it's in the workplace or in a family or in a school, and I think it would behoove any leader of any type of community. like in a workplace, to really take the time to figure out who are we, who do we want to be, and how do we cultivate that with our community within. And because I believe to do things like that not only benefits the human beings involved in these experiences, but it also benefits the long-term viability and profitability of a business.
Mm-hmm. I agree, man. Well, thank you so much for coming in. Like, I can't thank you enough, because I love having you on. We have a lot in common, and we'll definitely have you back if you'd be willing to come back in.
Yeah,
but,
dude.
So thank you so much, man, and we'll definitely talk soon.
Cool. Thank you, Josh, and thanks to anyone listening. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you so much for tuning into the podcast. What a great episode. I want to thank Jordan for coming in and just talking wrestling, talking music, and sharing a lot of his insight, because I think as an industry, maybe some musicians don't focus on the mental aspects as much. Definitely go check out Chocolate Croissants Podcast with him and Matt Halpern and his brother Justin. And then you can see his band Reindeer upcoming shows, so check that out. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next